to our Abuja studios, and yes, I'm Malpe Ogun Yusuf. We're going to be looking at state of the polity this morning. That's the segment that we have. And of course, you've seen our guest, Mr. Sowunmi Moniedafe, is a stakeholder in the APC and an aspirant for the position of national chairman of the All Progressives Congress. Well, I don't think that, there's so much to be said in terms, by way of introduction. If you have been following the program, a cursory look through the papers lets you know where we are in our state, the state of our polity today. But just in case you missed the papers, let's quickly look at this. Senate moves to whittle down IGP's powers, decentralized police structure. You know why that conversation has been ongoing. Call for secession tears Yoruba apart. That is also on the front pages. Nigeria falling apart. NEF, Afenifere, MBF, Pandef tells federal government. And then you also see this one, no need to worry about 2023. So you can see that there is an existential problem right ahead. And it's all exacerbated by the security situation. The segment preceding this one talked about the kidnapped children who were taken away from a school of forestry somewhere in Kaduna State. So, a lot to worry about. A Nigerian today is wondering, what is the future of this country? I don't know if you've had time to ponder it. You are a member of the current ruling party.
Yeah.
When you think about the future of this country, vis-a-vis what, the responsibility that your party, your government has, what will you tell the average Nigerian is there to hope for?
I just tell them to be patient. By the way, good morning.
Good morning.
Nigerians, good to see you again after a long while. I will tell Nigerians to be patient because all problems are meant to be overcome. I will tell Nigerians to remove their attention from security matters. The people in charge of security know what they are doing. They are doing it. They don't have to divulge any information to you. By the way, my heart goes out to the families of the young women that were kidnapped in Kaduna State. I pray that they are released. Having said that, I want to appeal to them to please just stay calm. I was telling you off camera about the incidents I had with my colleagues in University of Maiduguri who were kidnapped 2017, I think, thereabouts. And November 2017, University of Maiduguri had a reunion dinner just to remind the Nigerian people about those people. And then their families to assure them that we have not forgotten about them. I got to hear many things. Security forces, they are working. They don't have to divulge anything they are doing to you.
So you say that, the families they should keep calm. I'm sure that they kept calm. They kept calm for a while. It was when they didn't hear anything. It didn't seem like there was any movement on the part of security agencies and government, at least to their knowledge.
Exactly. That's the key point.
That's when they now decided, look, what is going on? They came out with placards and set an ultimatum, and they're still here saying, we still haven't heard anything despite our cry.
They should carry on with their placards, but I assure them that the security forces are working. Using that example again, it was when we got involved, we went to Maiduguri, saw the families of those who were still under the kidnappers. I showed the parents that prayerfully they will be released. It was after that I started hearing stories about what was happening. They were talking, they were working, things have been done.
We're now in a state of prayers.
Talking does not solve anything. Everything we say, everything you are saying, as you speak on TV now, they are watching as well. So anything you say offhand, they can divulge, they can go and tell their colleagues that are the kidnappers.
Let me bring it back to, your earlier statement about Nigerians should take their mind away from security. Security is something that we all need to carry out our daily businesses. If you now hear that the roads are unsafe and a lot of people prefer to travel by air, and there are big worries around that area, it's not something that you can avoid. If your children are in school, in a boarding school, and you don't know which school will be up next for the next bandit attack, can Nigerians really say that they're going to go about their business? Let's not forget that even though in some instances it has ended well, in some other instances it hasn't. Let's give an instance. Leah Sharibu is just reported to have given birth to her second baby in captivity. So in some instances it has ended well, thankfully. But in some other instances it has been very sad. Very worrying. Can Nigerians, can the average Nigerian say, "Oh, I'm taking my mind away from security"?
Don't get me wrong. When I said what I said, if it happens that your family member is kidnapped, you don't solve it by going to talk and insisting on being told what is happening. It's unfortunate that things are happening like this. The kidnapping industry has become a very viable industry for many people. You have people who just wake up sleep paupers, wake up multimillionaires, they kidnap and demand ransom. If your family is kidnapped, unfortunately, it's not a solution for you to start insisting on being told what is happening. The security forces are working. I assure you, because of that experience I had. Moreover, we have a president who is a former general. He has people who are there. They don't have to tell us what is happening. They are working. Leah Sharibu, may God make her safe where she is and get her released. But the Karakara students, over 300, eventually released. Those in Niger State, eventually released. So some will be released, some will not for some time. The problem now is when you insist on being told what is happening, they will not tell you. It won't be right asking for it, because if they tell you, they are divulging secrets that will also hamper your own child. So if it happens, I pray it doesn't happen to people. If it happens, just be prayerful and wait, because I assure you that the government is working. I'm not in security forces. I am not. But I know that is just common sense. And then secondly, my experience with the geological department workers of the University of Maiduguri. Eventually they were released. We pray they are released without any harm. It's not easy, but if it happens, the solution is not to go and be making noise and trying to ask the government to tell you what they are doing. They will not tell you. So I ask for patience from the families.
My colleagues in Lagos have another guest on standby. Gentlemen.
Well, yes, indeed. Mr. Sowunmi joins us now. He's a former spokesperson of the PDP campaign council. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. What do you think of what's going on?
Which of them? What he just said?
Yes.
I think, I don't know why people think that when you come on national television, you can speak to grieving parents in such a lackadaisical, forget about it, don't. What kind of talk is this? If you are not giving information to the public, you have to talk to the parents. You have to manage their traumas. They have to understand to some reasonable extent, not your operational procedures of how you are going to go and bust them. You've not busted anybody. So I really don't get what is there to respond to there. I'll just go straight to say this. If you've been in this country maybe 20 years, you are not too young, you have never seen our country this way. Insecurity on one part. Have you ever seen this country this divided? For some reason, you're just hearing noise of, secession, we want to go, everybody's doing whatever the hell they like, say whatever they want to say, and those with the responsibility to say, enough. You're not going to be allowed to implode this country. You're not going to be allowed to destabilize this country, are on holiday, receiving guests, shaking hands with people that are jumping from pillar to pole, claiming that they are running parties. And you take a look at poverty, and you say, okay, maybe they are not getting it with insecurity. Okay, maybe they are not getting it with national cohesion. What are they doing with the large number of unemployed in the country? The number is ballooning. You cannot see a synergy of thought between policy and government action to reduce that. Leave that. Okay, so maybe they don't know what they're going to do with unemployment. Then you go to the so-called anti-corruption. You ask yourself, where are the things that can tell you that the country is running an anti-corruption battle that has produced some fear in the system? You can't find anything other than, take them in, bring them out, spend time. Look, we have completely forgotten about everything President Buhari and his friends promised us when they were coming. Nigerians have forgotten that. We asked them to do 3 things because they are incapable of doing others. They should forget about running the economy. They don't know how to do that. They should leave that. Number 1, they should reform the Electoral Act so that the Nigerians who have to take a decision to vote them out can at least be assured that their votes will count. Number 1. Number 2, they should manage the rhetorics of all this ethnic militia, this group, that group, from wherever they may be coming from, be them in any of the sections of the country, to tell them in very firm and clear language, enough is enough. Number 3, and probably the fact, they should just pack their bags and go. If you cannot do a job, if you do not have the capability to manage a job, if you are struggling on the job, if you are incapable of explaining to Nigerians what you are doing, if you don't have the empathy to reach out to parents who are looking for their kids who are kidnapped, if your spokespeople and your supporters are going to come on television and annoy us even more, it is more honorable to say, herein I have tried, thank you very much, I'm packing my load and I'm going.
Wondering, Mr. Sowunmi, that's if we're ever going to see that kind of day in Nigeria. But let me ask you, you talked about the huge division, and a number of people have said over and over again, that is something that can only be attributed to the activities of politicians across party lines. Where is all of that division coming from?
Okay, thank you. I have read and heard some suggestions that unknowingly suggests or tries to impugn or insinuate that probably opposition or some elements are the ones wrong. That's not true. The country got divided so badly because of the nepotistic attitude that they started with. It got so bad because those who are speaking this divisive language within the country have been left to just do it with reckless abandon. For more than 3 years, in spite of me being in opposition, I have been very nervous as to how everybody just comes to national space and talks as if the country is not controllable. And I get extremely depressed. Why? Because I expect, in the minimum, 2 people that I expect them that they know what to do. The first is the president himself. I expect him to know what to do. The second is the National Security Advisor, Mongunu. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'll ask myself, is this not Mongunu? Is it the same Mongunu, the Mongunu that will be sitting as the National Security Advisor of this country? Intelligence will be at the lowest ebb. People are just doing whatever they like, however they like, underneath the pretense that we're running democracy. If we do not have a country, if the country implodes on all our heads, where the hell are we going to go? And when you see them come to public space, you say, give them patience, do. You won't even see anything to suggest to you that they have put themselves in the shoes of the people they're talking to. And for the president, with due respect, nobody would have taken you 30 years from retirement to come and lead this country if you are not going to lead from the front. Whereas I do not expect you to sidestep all democratic institutions, but that does not mean that things can't still happen within the existing structure that you have on your hand. And therefore, if one is beginning to get the impression that the president is truly not interested, probably too tired, or he has been, he has given up on even his own aides, why would you ask that the story of Nigeria will be kidnapping today, ransom tomorrow. Kidnapping today, ransom tomorrow. Kidnapping today, ransom tomorrow. What are we doing about the underpinnings? We talk to you about unemployment, you say it's not a big deal. How can it not be a big deal? What is foiling it? We talk to you about nepotism, you say it's not a big deal. What is foiling the hatred of the tribes? How can anybody be president of this Nigeria, for God's sake, and allow people to be using ethnic divisions and rhetorics to undermine the country? One organization will speak from the southwest. Instead of them to shut them up immediately, one organization will be replying them in the north. How did we become a country where ethnic militias are the ones that are running this country for us?
Well, Mr. Sowunmi, before we toss this to Abuja, let me just ask you pointedly now. You said you don't believe this government is capable of handling the economy, but you asked for two In fact, three things. You asked for them to work on the Electoral Act and quell these, voices of secession. Are you saying you are at least trusting this government to be capable to handle that?
No. We will not pay them salaries. Give them all the trappings of government so that they can just slip through the whole road. My saying we no longer have any expectation on the economy is because when a child is incapable of passing mathematics, just forget about it, teach him English. When I say they should forget about creating jobs, it is because they've been struggling at it. They like to bandy figures. They sit down in their rooms and concoct all sorts of contraption and be telling you, oh, they have done this in agriculture. What kind of talk is this? We are supposed to feel it on the streets. There is no way the entire north of Nigeria, the middle belt of Nigeria, the southwest, the south-south, the southeast, everybody in the country will be under this kind of stress if they were doing the right thing. So I've taken the difficult ones from them. I've left them with the ones that if they don't solve, we won't even have a country. Can you imagine the effrontery with which their party is saying they will be in charge of Nigeria for 1 million years? What have they done to Nigerians that can make Nigerians love them? Are they trying to say that the people in these countries are Neanderthals who will not even know when their own interest is not being served? How much have they been living? What have they been spending? How have they been coping? The few people who even have a little salary, they are under a lot of pressure because nothing else is working. So I removed those ones from their list because it's too late. They have barely 2 years to go. They can't even run their own party. They can't keep to their own rules. So how would you expect other people to organize the country? I've given them the three most critical ones because I know if they don't improve the Electoral Act, we might probably get to 2023 and this bunch of crooks will come again and tell me that, oh, they got 10 million votes from a village that people don't live in. I've told them to solve the problem of this crisis in the country, everybody just talking anyhow. How can a nation allow itself to be hijacked by miscreants claiming that they are running for their tribe? Is this country no longer under leadership?
Let's get him to let's see how he responds to this one. Markwe?
Chamberlain, I must express my sadness at the way you treated me. You didn't tell me I'm going to have somebody on the other side and that the topic was going to be this diverse. You didn't tell me that. So I'm just taken by ambush by what is happening. Let me reply.
That is not correct. That is not correct. You were informed rightly of the subject matter based on the polity. So let's put that in proper perspective. That is not correct. And I stand to say that. Go ahead.
Pardon?
Go ahead. We did inform you of what you were going to discuss. And if you have watched, you know, and I did tell you.
Only security, Chamberlain. Anyway.
No, that is not correct, Mr. Moniedafe.
Anyway.
I challenge that point.
What's happening right now reminds me of what happened in that film Scarface. When Cuba, under Fidel Castro, was put under pressure by America to release political prisoners, Fidel Castro released all kinds of people into America. And when they were in the prison in Florida, I remember the immigration officer saying that Cuba is shitting all over them. The PDP has done the same thing to this country. For 16 years that they were in power, they got over $1 trillion from just crude sale alone. They did not start and finish one single project, not a single one. So all what we have today is as a result of what the clueless PDP government left for this country. That Shegun will be saying that kind of thing amazes me. He's saying that President Buhari should move against whoever is doing this. The same Shegun will threaten to report the president to the ICC, to who have you, if he moves violently, strongly against these people. What is the PDP trying to get us into? You're talking about Electoral Act. The president is somebody that listens to people. He's going to make it, he's going to sign it into law. Now, facts that emerged later showed that apparently the PDP had intentions of manipulating the system, which is why they were asking for Electoral Act to be fixed immediately. Don't forget in 2015 or so, when APC office was raided in Okwebi, they accused the APC of cloning cards. Now the same PDP refused to allow for card readers to be used. It's unfortunate that Sowunmi is talking like this, but on security, I will not say anything. I don't speak for the party. I was called to come and appear here in my own capacity as somebody who is seeking to be the chairman of the party come National Convention in June. I don't speak for the party. I made my personal opinion. If something happens to anybody,
well, Mr. Moniedafe,
just calm down and wait for the government to get things done.
Well, Mr. Moniedafe, if I can just quickly put a question, just a moment. You rightly put it when you said that you are aspiring to be leader of your party at the national level, national chairman of your party. Expectedly, you should be able to take on any issue as far as the government of the day is concerned. So while all the things that all the caveat that you put ahead is something to go by, you may also want to recognize that the responsibility you are aspiring to would demand that you be able to take on any issue whatsoever and consequently even be able to speak for governments. These things are part of the policies of the government of the APC which you are aspiring to lead. So consequently, it is expected that you should be able to take on these issues. But the issues that Mr. Sowunmi has raised, well, sentimental you may want to put it, but the issues are there. The facts are clear about the things that he has said, about the economy, about the security, about even the anti-corruption indexes all over the place. So what's your take on all of that?
I insist, and I will make that a policy. I will never speak on security matters. Never. I will not allow it because I don't have the facts. On economy, on corruption or whatever, I will answer. But I will never encourage anybody to speak on security. Now, talking about the economy, shortly after Buhari came to power in 2015, we had these Niger Delta bombers. For whatever the reason, they came and started bombing. And that led to the collapse of the economy. We went into recession. In the fastest time, we came out of recession. In the fastest time, we came out of recession under President Buhari. So the price of crude dropped to almost $20 per barrel from the $110 per barrel that we had for close to 7 years under the PDP, which we have nothing to show for. To come and now expect magic overnight, it's amazing. Now, talking about this kidnapping matter.
The government promised magic, Mr. Moniedafe. The government promised that the dollar would and the naira would come very, very close to par within the shortest possible time. But even just this morning, the papers are reflecting that the reason, according to the Minister of Information and Culture, that the reason for the poor ranking of Nigeria on the anti-corruption index is the opaqueness of business, which is, of course, a function of the policies of the government of the APC.
Now, the issue of coming at par, I remember what the late, is it late now, Tony Momo said about making the dollar equivalent to the naira. I think so. But that is not something that I want to delve into right now. The point of fact is that we don't operate in isolation as a nation. We are still importing to some extent. So if anything happens overseas, it affects the Nigerian economy. The most important thing is that we have come out of recession twice now. About being opaque, I don't know about that. If anybody has the facts, let him bring it out. But right now, what I'm appealing to Nigerians on is that we should please be very careful. We have no country except Nigeria. We have no country. We have to be very careful. We have to trust this government. And I've always said it. If you believe that this government is not working, that's your own right to believe. I know that the PDP left over 300 uncompleted projects. I was on a program yesterday with the spokesman of the PDP, Kola Ologbodiyan. He shamelessly told me that they started projects all over the country without completing one single one. Now, Sowunmi, please tell me one project you started.
Okay,
6 years of PDP,
let's bring him in.
Over $1 trillion, one that you started and finished in this country.
All right, Mr. Sowunmi, in 2 minutes, because we'll go to break and then be back on this. How do you respond to that?
I think when Nigerians listen to him and listen to me, they will know who loves this country out of the both of us. I take it that, first, I love the country absolutely. The political parties are vehicles. I'm able to look at them in the eyes and say, okay, they're doing some things, but if I see any, I'm able to look at my party and say, no, some of these things you're doing, I don't accept, if I see them. But where we are now in the country, we're at such a critical stage where we must determine for ourselves how do we want to exit it. There are two easy ways to exit. No, one easy way to exit it via a democratic election where the Nigerians can decide whether they want to reinforce failure. And then we say, okay, the Electoral Act was very clean. They had a clear and clear election. Nigerians like to suffer, so they won. Or there's a clean Electoral Act. Nigerians choose, some other guys come in and take on the job one way. The second way, and why I'm a bit agitated, I'm wondering where this man lives, whether he lives on Mars, is that you just need to go deep into the country and feel the level of division, the rhetorics. People no longer respect their obas. People no longer respect their leaders. Nobody is above the kinds of talk. People can just wake up in the morning, issue sanctions to ethnic groups within the country, and he thinks these are not dangerous signs. But because I love the country more than him, that much I know, and the PDP loves Nigeria more than them, we are not trying to engage them on, oh, they were there for 17 years, they were there for 30 years. No. We're trying to tell them that there is a need for us to press the panic button to de-escalate the unacceptable rhetorics that comes from the tribes, comes from Marudas in the country, that comes from any ethnic jingoist, no matter who he is, to get our country to be safe. Why? Because you need to have a country first before you can plan it.
Just give us a moment. We'll come back and take your concluding thoughts, both of you, in just a moment. Please join us again.
Well, Mr. Moniedafe is still with us in the studio, and we're just going to take his closing comments. The issues are many, and they're interrelated. You know, talk about the distrust, the suspicion, the divisions that we're seeing right now. They're all interrelated with the security challenges that are confronting us, and they are real. On a daily basis, Nigerians have to confront them. Is there any thinking in your party as to how to calm the average Nigerian who perhaps might be getting agitated at the situation?
I don't speak for the party, Maokwe. But let me tell you one thing.
Your thoughts,
personally, I'm doing. Personally, which is why I've declared to become the national chairman of the APC. Now, for those that don't know, I am Delta State by origin. My father left Warri through Burutu in 1950 for Jimeta Yola. I was born in Jimeta Yola, Adamawa State, 64 years ago. I've been in Abuja for 23 years now. I am a Nigerian. Imagine a Sonny Sylvester Moniedafe as national chairman of the APC. Many of the agitators will calm down because they will see that they have a hope to aspire for any position and they will get it.
Simply by virtue of your name or what?
My antecedent, Urobo man from Adamawa State.
Just by that?
It helps a lot of people. I've been getting calls from all over the place. I speak for millions of Nigerians whose parents were from different places, but they were born in different places, who are not recognized today in this country. The South is talking about getting the presidency. What about people like myself that are across Nigeria, who went by train in the 50s, in the 40s, from the Southwest to Ilorin, to Kaduna, to Kano, to Gombe, to Maiduguri, those that went to mine in Jos, in the Plateau, we're all over in millions. It will help a lot. Secondly, this kidnapping and co is because of the bad situation we have on ground. We have, for example, in the FCT, 167 junior secondary schools to 77 senior secondary schools. Recently, we got an additional 10 schools that have not really kicked off. But as at when we speak now, 167 junior secondary schools to 77 senior secondary schools. Every year, we have about 15,000 students that cannot enter SS1. I went to Adamawa State in 2018. I investigated. They have 1,200 junior secondary schools to 400 senior secondary schools, close to 30,000 students that cannot enter SS1 every year, multiplied by 35 all over the place. This government is trying to create more crowd schools, vocational centers, name them, to absorb from these students that cannot enter the normal secondary school to go and learn handwork. All these young boys are there in their millions with nothing to do. This is the carryover of what happened in the past. No focus. It will take time for us to do it, and I assure you that if God wills, I get there, such things will be top of the order of the day. Things are bad, we know, but I don't speak for the party. I cannot come and talk on security. I'm ever ready to talk about any other issues, not on security, for obvious reasons. But this APC is willing and is doing a lot. Having said that, Sowunmi, your people are leaving PDP in droves to come to APC. Why are they coming?
I think it's a fine place to leave it. I already told you that they're closing comments. Let's quickly flip it now to Mr. Sowunmi.
Well, let me start from the one you said that my people are living in doves to come and join them. The first question you will ask is if the Nigerians and those even jumping trust that the Electoral Act will give them a fair chance at a decent contest. I don't know any human being in this world who will jump from the frying pan into the fire. They are barely able to do their own ESCOs correctly. They barely have an NWC in place. They have run with caretaker. They don't even know that there's a constitutional lacuna that could make them to be completely off the ballot, which is that the Constitution of Nigeria imagines that a chief executive officer is a full-time job. He cannot be part-time governor, part-time chairman. But you see, the APC believes that the whole world is run by foolish people. God will help them.
Those people that moved to the APC, they're not political babies. I mean, the former governor of Ogun State, your former boss, who was at the forefront of trying to get the PDP presidential candidate into power, the former Speaker of the House of Representatives. These are people that, I'm sure you've worked with them, so you know they permutate well, they calculate well, they do their research. So you're saying that they just jumped from fry pan to fire knowingly?
Let me put it for you this way. The electoral map of Nigeria is made of about 200 million people, so we say. And we have an electoral map of close to 70 million. If as little as 15 million, including all the inflation, is what installs a president, it should tell you that there's something totally wrong. I do not expect us to go into the next circle with an idea that there's one big man somewhere that is going to rescue all Nigerians. Because we have seen clearly that they have a way of looking after themselves. When it is hot in the morning, they jump to where it is cold in the afternoon and all that. That's their business, that's their choice. People have freedom of association. The issue for determination, and what we're talking about here is that this particular presidency under this particular party has no intention to keep its word. How can they not even be talking about restructuring when it is obvious? How can they not fast-track police reform when clearly young people in this country shut down everything? Guess what? They have no intention to be in a hurry. They can wait until kingdom come, and if Nigerians are foolish enough not to know what is best for them, they can even rig us out. So, but I tell you, we are not going to pretend that things are working in this country. And I insist again, 3 things are more critical. To give them more is too heavy. They should give us a tidy electoral act so that we can know who will win, and the person that will win will know he won, and who lost will know he lost. They should help us to reduce the divisive narrative in the country so that everything does not blow up in our face. Because tribal conflicts, they usually appear as if they're not going to start until they arrive at your doorstep. And of course, the third one, like I said, if they do not have any solution to the first 2, they should just pack their bag and go home.
All right, that's a good place to let it go. Mr. Sowunmi, former spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, as well as Mr. Sonny Moniedafe, APC stakeholder and aspirant for the position of the national chairman and former chairman of ACN in Abuja. They were both invited to discuss state of the polity. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on this morning. We're back in a moment. Don't go away.